Hey, what's up everybody? In this episode, we're gonna be talking about the OnWote 16-channel 4K camera security system. Now, this is a commercial class system for your home that allows you to keep everything monitored and all of your possessions and your property safe and sound. So I hope you'll stay tuned for this entire video. There'll be links down in the description below for you to pick up this exact system, which will also help support the channel. Let's start with the unboxing. All right, starting off with the unboxing, this is the 16-channel security camera system by OnWote. It has 4K cameras, again, 16 channels, a 4 terabyte hard drive. Now, this video is sponsored by OnWote. They did provide me this system in order for a review, and it is an honest review of everything from the setup, how it functions, how it installs. So stay tuned for the whole thing to see what I think about it. Now back to the unboxing, one thing I like is that everything you need comes in one box, so you don't have to have a whole bunch of different shipments in order to get everything you need for the system. This one in particular includes 8 cameras, even though it can have up to 16, and it also includes all of the 60-foot networking cables that you need to get everything hooked up. Each of the cameras is boxed up individually, so if you're only going to set up a few at a time, then you don't have to have everything loose and just missing all over your house. These cameras are not motorized. You do have to manually adjust them, but that process is pretty straightforward and easy. You just grab it and move it. On the back side of each camera is a locking ring, and the cord that you need to connect to your networking cable is already attached to the back of the camera. So there really is no setup out of the box other than you have to get your cord where it needs to go, screw the camera to the wall with the included holes that are already in the casing, and then plug it up and you're good to go. As far as orientation, you can mount this thing up to a soffit or onto a wall, and then again manually adjusting it to get the angle that you prefer. Inside the box, they do include the waterproof adapter so that you put this on the networking cable, and when you attach it to the camera, everything is nice and safe. And of course, if you're attaching to sheetrock, they include a guide for your screw holes as well as some drywall anchors. Now, I do recommend that you spend the time to read the user guides that come in the box. As much as I want to make you a 3-hour YouTube video about every single feature this thing has to offer, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you guys the basics here, so read the book. There's a second instruction guide that shows how to connect the camera cables, as well as a warranty guide that gives you the warranty information, as well as the contact information for OnWote if you have any issues. Now, like I mentioned, they do include 60-foot networking cables. I'm not sure if there's other options, like if you wanted them to include 100-foot cables or something, but this one does include 60-foot cables, and there are 8 of these included, so 1 for each camera. Now moving on to the brains of the operation, this thing has a 4 terabyte hard drive and it has 16 channels. They do include the world's tiniest mouse, so if you're into that sort of thing, you're going to be really happy. It's USB-A, so make sure that you know that. You have a networking cable to connect this thing to your internet, but in my case, I needed to use a much longer cable in order to get it connected. They also, of course, have a power cord for you. This is United States for me. If you're in a different country, you'll probably have a different plug. In a nutshell, this unit is designed to be basically like a computer. You're just going to plug your mouse into it, a monitor into it, connect it to power, and then once you have all that connected, you're going to be able to see what's going on with your cameras. They do give you VGA and a 4K HDMI input. The USB 3 goes to the mouse, and they also have audio in and out, which I won't be using in this video. Now I'm up inside of my attic. This is actually where we have our setup for the camera control system. I have a small HP monitor that I'm going to be connecting to the back of this, just using a regular HDMI cable. The HP monitor obviously needs to plug into the wall as well, and any kind of monitor you need should work. Once you power on the unit, you should be able to see this screen. The next step is you're going to want to plug in your mouse so that you can control everything. Make sure the light is on the bottom. That's how you'll know you have some power. The first step is just setting your language. And then from there, you're going to enter the admin password from the book that's included. Remember, I said read that. Then you're going to set up your own password, which I'm not going to show you mine because that would be insane. Then you set up a pattern in order to access it more quickly into the future. After you set up your date and time preferences here, it will show you a QR code, which will lead you to the App Store on your preferred device so that you can download the app. I'm using an iPhone. The app is called Guard Viewer. You're going to want to get that downloaded. Now, before I go too far, I'm going to test one of the cameras to make sure everything actually works. These are all labeled, so you'll know which port is which and which camera is which when you're looking at the array on your screen. I'm going to use port number 1 to make this nice and simple. Next, I'm going to plug it into the backside of the camera. I'm not worried about the waterproofing right now, but you do want to make sure that the little green light is flashing. That will tell you that you have a connection. And there on the monitor, you can see it comes up pretty quick. They give you a bunch of different views. So you can see a single camera view like this, where if you just had one camera, you could just view it all the time. Or you can set up multiple views. So you have a 4, a 6, an 8, etc., which will highlight one of the camera views and then you can cycle through. Now, the camera orientation itself is important. So if you were to mount it this way, you would obviously be upside down. That would be no good. But also, if you're going to mount it onto a wall, you want to make sure that you adjust the camera manually with this little dot here on the left side when it's facing you. That means you're in the correct orientation for it mounting on the wall. Since the ones we're going to be doing first are mounting that way, I wanted to make sure I had this set. Okay, now that I know I have the camera set up and it works, I need to get everything connected to the internet, which is going to be a little bit of a hassle for us. So the way I have this set up is my Starlink is mounted up by the ceiling. It's near this vent. I don't have a ton of room to get a wire to my actual router. This is my old Google Nest router. I do have one Ethernet port on the back of it. I'm very thankful for that. So now I need to figure out how to get the wire from up in the attic over to this, and I have to stay out of the way of that vent. So in order to do this, I'm going to use my drill driver with a hole saw bit that's big enough to fit the networking cable through it. And then I found this spot up inside the attic space. It's over our bonus room. So we have a little bit of a narrow opening to get in there. I'm going to drill this hole at an angle so that I can feed my wire through. Now your in particular situation could be vastly different from mine. So hopefully you're able to hide your wires inside the wall, but if not, you'll be like me. Unfortunately, the hole ended up being pretty far out into the room. We'll make this thing look a lot nicer later on, but for now, I just need to get it connected. So it's not usually a fashion show here on Tough Guys DIY, but I wanted to take a quick little break. OnWote actually sent me out this vest to wear during the install. Now, admittedly, up until now, I didn't put it on. I think right now you've got all these pockets and stuff, so since I need to have my wire hangers to run the wires for the cameras, what a better time to try this thing out. I actually think it would be really good for fishing, which is not really what they had intended, but I think it's actually pretty cool. It's lightweight, seems very breathable. Don't know if I'd rock it without the shirt underneath. You never know. Thanks to OnWote again for the video cameras, of course, but also for this cool zip-up vest. Check it out. All right, back to this cord here. I'm trying to make it look as good as I can temporarily so we can get the system up and running. I will eventually try to get this actually inside the wall so you won't see the wire at all. But for now, just tacking it up out of the way is going to be good enough so that I can make sure the unit is connected to the internet and all the cameras work. There you go. All right, the first camera we want to install is the one facing inside of our garage. So this is basically how you do it. You're going to take the ring off the front of it and you're going to feed your camera wire through whatever hole you're feeding it through, whether it's a wall like this, or maybe it's on the exterior of your house. I'm choosing to use a wood screw instead of the included screw because we have plywood walls here. In your situation, you may be going into drywall, in which case you'd want to use your drywall anchors or make sure you're securing it to a stud. Once you have the camera on the wall, you just twist the locking ring back over the screws and that's it. Now, even though this one is on the inside of the house, I still wanted to show how to hook up this exterior gasket system that goes onto the wire. So what you do is you basically start by making sure the power plug on the camera is plugged up, and then you're going to connect the networking cable. Remember, these power over the networking cable, so that extra thing you don't need. The gasket goes up and over the little networking cable and slides all the way against the camera cord. The next part is the large piece. It screws onto that and you'll be sandwiching the gasket in between the two sections. Next, there's a larger gasket that squeezes into the bottom part there, which basically just traps up against the bottom of your networking cable. And then the last part is a little screw cap that hopefully you fed on first so you didn't have to take everything else apart again. And once you screw that on there, you're good to go. And now we're going to test out this camera. So we have it facing into our very messy garage because we're still unpacking, don't judge me. And I'm going to walk down the stairs, go down to the bottom, and it actually has a pretty nice field of view. Now this monitor is only 1080p, it's not 4K, so don't beat me up in the comments about my resolution here. I think the camera looks pretty good. Now next up, we wanted to try a secondary camera. This one I wanted to mount on the outside wall of the house. This is by our garage so that I have a clear view of my secondary shop. Now, a couple of notes here. Ideally, you'd have a soffit overhang. With the type of construction we have is a barn dough. It's a metal house, so we don't have the traditional overhang, but these cameras are water resistant, so we should be fine. I just need to make sure that I seal up around this trim piece once everything is set so that I don't have any leaks coming in. So you'd probably want to just do that on your exterior wall regardless of your type of construction. But yeah, this view that we're trying to go with here is going to view over to our exterior shop, which is disconnected from the house. So we wanted to have a nice view of that. And I do think I want to add a third camera for sure that faces out towards the road so that I have a nice view when anybody's coming down the long driveway. But yeah, overall, it looks pretty good on the side of the house and the color matches quite nice. With the second camera setup, let's go back inside and take a look at how this looks. The interface will show you multiple cameras, of course, again, up to 16. So with only two of them, you're only going to see two on the pane, but you can show a single camera view, which would allow you to switch between any of your active feeds. Now on the receiver, there'll be a red light when everything is recording, and you'll obviously want to make sure your other lights are on. When you want to check some of the footage, you can actually log in and select it by the date on the little calendar included. You'll have a little red tick mark in the top right corner when it's detected something. Then you can scrub through the video and find the spots where it's identified either a human body, which in that case, it'll actually send you an alert. So you can see here where I'm walking quite a bit of ways from the camera, but it still detected me, and it will actually send you an alert even to your Apple Watch if you have it paired up with your phone. And here you can see that it can also detect vehicles. We had some service personnel out at the property looking at some electrical issues, and you can see it does quite well even with multiple people in the shot at the same time. Now, the best feature, in my opinion, is that you have access to all of this via the mobile app that we showed off earlier. So you want to make sure you have that downloaded so that when you get these notifications, you can log right in and see not only snapshots, but you can review the video footage. If you put the phone in landscape mode, you can even scrub through and find the exact points where something notified you, and you can zoom in. You can, of course, take screenshots here, or you can have everything recorded back to the main receiver. And then you can also, of course, switch back to viewing the live mode so you can see what's happening right now. Now, overall, this system I think is a tremendous value. You're getting a commercial grade security camera system for your home with this setup that you can manage with an app, or you can manage it yourself with the setup here with a monitor and a mouse. Overall, I definitely hope you'll consider this setup. Links down in the description below if you'd like to pick one of these up and help support the channel.